All right, this is a little talk about hippies.
Getting turned on.
Speaking of psychedelics,
These have influenced the psyche of the people within the culture, or that were at least dabbling within the culture. It influenced their psyche, it influenced their thought processes, it influenced their perceptions and worldviews. And it really influenced the culture in and of itself. The drugs, in a sense, it didn't make the culture, but it was a component part of making the hippie culture. And it created addictions. And then in the people on the outside of the hippie culture within the Western countries, for example, in America, they're looking in on the hippie culture. They're seeing kids get addicted. They're seeing the kids and adults that are in the culture are not. Some of them are not able to function within society. They're almost like homeless people. They're creating problems for society, and then it creates a negative stigma and stereotype for hippies within the minds of the people outside of the hippie culture. And then this starts to make
the hippie movement
into something that's not necessarily a good thing in the eyes of other people within the Western cultures. And a lot of it was kind of an experimental, experimental phase for not necessarily, I guess, humanity in a sense, but, Western culture definitely, around the use of drugs. And I guess regardless of whether this is like a factor or not, I'm sure as a species we learned a bit from that kind of from the hippie cultural movement and its contact with these different substances and the use of these different substances for those individuals that were partaking in the movement and intaking these substances into their bodies and into their physiological systems.
And another reason that the hippie movement arose was it was a type of reaction. The hippies themselves, they
didn't want to just go to war and keep fighting and killing these foreign people. And they were questioning the religious faiths and the governments that were, perpetuating their peoples to go and do these things. As a whole, an interesting movement that I think was important in the sense of not getting, if you have all the people in the world being too stuck on their religions, on their approach to reality, on their lifestyles, on their spirituality, and they're too narrowly confined within their box of their traditions and their cultures and their people and their country and their ancestry, etc., then it's more, I don't know, I assume it's more difficult for people of the world to kind of get along with each other. Whereas if you kind of are open-minded enough to question your own traditions, your own society, your own people's lifestyles and ideologies and faiths, then you're more willing and open-minded to check out the other ideologies and lifestyles of the world, of different peoples of the world. I think this hippie movement was a big part of kind of being a bridge, and psychedelics were part of the construction of that bridge.